As for me and my house, we will serve.
Welcome to As For Me and My House, a live show dedicated to strengthening and encouraging families through God's Word, testimonies, and conversations that we have with you all, the listeners. We look forward to hearing from you today. And remember, Joshua said, "Choose this day whom you will serve. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord."
We bow down. As for me and my house, we will only serve the Lord.
Hello. Welcome to As For Me and My House. We are here live. We got a full house here tonight. We have got can I say the Fabulous Four?
Sure,
Let's
that
say-
sounds nice.
Let's say the good-looking folks are all here tonight. And thank you, Jordan. But it's good to be back. It's good to be here again for another installment, As For Me and My House, where we talk about things to do with the family. You name it, we're going to talk about it. We try to cover it. Tonight we got a real fun topic, and I'm really looking forward to it. But first, let's do around the table. My name's Jason. You don't need to know me. This is my awesome wife, Miss Paige.
Hi, everyone.
Insightful, delightful Miss Jordan. And Miss Dana Works.
Good evening.
I had you for a minute, didn't I? Anyway, thank you guys for joining us. It's a great day. It's a great day to serve the Lord. It's a great day to be alive. It is. I've come to the realization a long time ago. I think every day is a great day to be alive. And at the same time, I told a guy today, we were talking about it, and he said, "It's a great day to be alive." And I said, "It's a great day to be dead too." And he was like, "What?" And I said, well, I don't think
Okay.
it's gonna be 27 degrees when I get to heaven. You know, I just don't think it's gonna go from 27 to 60. For some reason, I have a feeling it's just gonna be perfect. You know what I mean? It's gonna. If we do get to sleep, we're gonna wake up, and it's just gonna be perfect.
Maybe it's going to be, if you like the heat, it's hot for you. If you like cold, it's cold for you.
I could see that. I don't. Yeah, where do we get these pictures of heaven like that? But it makes sense to me. You know, it's like, why not? So, as for me in my house, I'll just say this: is we're basically a product of We Still Believe Ministries. And we invite you guys to come join us. We have got our new home here. That's where we are. In case you noticed that the old church fellowship area is no longer behind us. We're at 708 Silver Bluff Road in Aiken, South Carolina. Lovely, beautiful Aiken, South Carolina. So come see us. What we say? I told a guy yesterday. I said, "Welcome to church at the bank." And his daughter says, "Can I go in the
Vault.
vault there?" And I was like, "Yeah." Like, I egged her on. I was like, "You've been in a vault?" She said, "No." I was like, "Oh, you need to try it out."
They come over there and they're like, Jason said he'd give us a tour of the vault. I said, I can take you in there and give you a tour of the vault.
Tell us something. That's interesting.
So what are we discussing tonight?
I'm sorry. Tonight we're going to be talking about, is society becoming more feminine? Boy, that's almost like that's about the dumbest question I think I've ever asked in my life. What do you think about it?
I think it's going to be a really interesting topic tonight.
It ought to be a lot of fun. We're
What-
going to try to behave.
What about no question is a dumb question?
Well,
They say that, but I don't know if that's true.
I like what the guy said that time on ESPN. He said, "There's no such thing." A guy goes, a young lady, she said, "This may be a stupid question." He says, No. There's no such thing as a stupid question. Only stupid people that ask questions." She goes. So anyway, that's what we're talking about tonight. Is society becoming more feminine? The feminization of society, and with that, it's going to be fun. We're gonna tie it into the Bible as we always as we do. That's just what we do. We bring it back to the Bible, and we want to hear your input. So first, we'll say share it, get it out there, and then on top of that, we want to encourage you to give us some feedback. Get on there, get in the chat, and let us know what you think. Good, bad, ugly, otherwise. Maybe you got something to add. Maybe you say, "Hey, I don't understand. What about this?" We want to hear it. We want to hear your thoughts about it. So, reach out to us here on Facebook. And if you're catching us on YouTube, well, catch us on Facebook next week. It'll be great. All right, let's jump in this. I'm excited.
Okay, today's opening scripture comes from Proverbs chapter 31, verse 29 through 31. Many daughters have done nobly, but you excel them all. Charm is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman who fears the Lord, she shall be praised. Give her the product of her hands, and let her work praise her in the gates.
How about that?
So what do you think the product of her hands is supposed to be? You know, and has it changed? And do we as ladies even know what the product of our hands is supposed to be? And what is supposed to? Is there a stereotype? Are there rules? Is there actually a way it's supposed to be? What do we think of all that?
I think of the give her the product of her hands. In my mind, I go also with your fruit.
Mm-hmm.
You're walking out as a Christian. It's okay. Walking out as a Christian. What is the fruit?
Right.
Don't look at me. Y'all keep
I just
talking.
said you talk
I
more
know,
than
but that doesn't work.
Okay.
Okay, thanks. To run through that one more time, I was distracted with something.
I was just saying that I can hear myself good. I was just saying that you can the where it says the product of her hands, the product of her hands. I feel like a lot of times it's referring, when I read it, I mean, I envision your fruit. What is the product of your fruit? And let the work give her the product of her hands. And I'm like, I don't know. That's just where my mind went.
Yeah, I think to add to that, like, your behavior, your conduct. Yeah, because that's, your product is what your legacy is going to be, what you're going to leave behind, or what people think of when they think of you. That's the only way I can think of product. So maybe your behavior. But,
That's pretty good. And then it says here, let her works let her works praise her in the gates. That's the legacy.
Right.
Is there respect? Is there respect for this person, or is it something like so often you see where it's behind the back talking, about people, that instead of that we're supposed to be praised. Hey, look, that's who you need to talk to. That's the one you need to go see. It's more of, yeah. Well, can you believe that she was like that today? I just, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So often it's like that, sadly.
How about, does legacy still matter? Legacy used to be very important to people.
I think so.
What they left behind, their land, their treasures, their good name, pass on my name to my son, make sure you act appropriately so you get the throne, all those different things.
Mm-hmm.
What do you have good to say about grandma and grandpa? But we're such a microwave society. What really has happened to legacy when we're so into the here and now?
Yeah, legacy has really gone out the window. But when you look at the destruction of the family,
Yeah.
then you start to see legacy go away because there's no family, there's no cohesiveness, there's no,
Right.
Dad might 60 years ago say a man might father, we'll say 10 kids, and with
Yeah.
one woman.
That's quite a legacy.
Now he might have 10 kids with 9 different women.
Or no kids.
Yeah, or
and
no
2
kids.
cats.
And 2 cats. Yeah, get a dog. Get a dog. But it's there when we see the breakdown of the family. That's when you start to see the breakdown of manhood. You start to see the breakdown of masculinity.
Right.
Because, in all honesty, when you just think about it, if you have a group of people, say you come to this place here, there's 4 of us here. There are three young ladies and 1 gentleman, older man, whatever you want to call me. If somebody comes in, who are they going to go to first? Probably to subdue. Who would be the first person they would go, oh, I can subdue that one?
You mean like if someone's in here to rob?
Or just to wrestle somebody to the ground for no reason.
The youngest female, I
Youngest
think.
female. The female. Typically, you
Yeah.
would go for the female. So if you can destroy the men and emasculate the men and demasculate the men, then what you have females, and then you have men that are confused about their role, where they take on the role basically of a female. And now, because you've emasculated those men over decades, you're easier to control because there's nobody there going, screw you, you're not doing that to me.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because a female looks more for security. That was where Bill Clinton was so smart back in the 90s. They called it the soccer moms. That's what got him elected, was soccer moms, because they wanted security. They traded. That's when we began trading freedom for security.
Right.
But then you started to see even more so the destruction of the family. And then now the men are more like, well, I just want somebody to take care of it. Just take care of it for me. And now we get to the point, what are we defunding across the United States? The police.
Right.
The popo. There you go. So you see that, and it's like, okay, so we we've given you the illusion and we're going to help with security. We're going to give security. Not everything's going to be taken care of. You don't have to worry about anything, guys. Oh,
And as you see women come into government and come into much more powerful positions, because they are the weaker vessel, naturally you would see security tighten up because that's a concern that men don't have. They're
Right.
going to protect themselves. You know, women think totally different. Yeah.
So what we were talking about yesterday, it was somebody after church, we were talking about how used to be, I remember growing up, it was go out and go fall off your bike. You know, you don't tell your kids, hey, go fall off the bike. But when you fell off your bike, what did mom and dad told me? Get up. Get back on it. You know, I'm sure I got called sissy several times. If you were sitting there, you didn't cry. You didn't come home and go, no.
Well, and if someone makes fun of the kid off the bike now, like you can see, here's another way you see feminization of society is that women's weapons are words. And now they want to write into law that is illegal to use hate speech because women are policing everybody's words.
Right.
Like a school teacher, that's women. Men have a thick skin. I really don't think that they cry until recently if someone bullies them or says something. But now
You know
it's
how
like
we got
you
there?
can't say that.
You know how we got there? Elbow pads, knee pads, and helmets on a bicycle. You know why? Because the security. I mean, but look at it. The security. I remember falling off a fence. I jumped a fence into a neighbor's yard, which you're not supposed to do, to get a tennis ball because we were playing baseball. I fell. I was in kindergarten. Hit my arm like this. I broke my wrist all the way across. Broke these two bones. The bones were flipped. Broke my elbow. It was bad. So I'm sitting here like this, and my mother says, was it broke? Kindergarten. I think it is. Well, if I drive all the way to Greensboro, because we lived in Jamestown, it's like driving from here to Augusta. If I drive all the way to Greensboro and it ain't broke, I'm gonna tear you up. You will get a whipping. And I was like, it's broke. And so we went, and sure enough, it was broke.
Please,
But-
God, let it be
but
broke.
look at today.
I just want to put a
Great
disclosure.
mother.
She's a wonderful. I mean,
Yeah,
she's
awesome
not,
lady.
She
Well,
wasn't
she
mean.
want to make sure he's not crying wolf,
But
right?
here's
Yeah.
the
That was
thing.
it. She was trying
Here's
to
the
toughen him
thing.
up.
You better be hurt. And now you don't even get the chance to get hurt.
No, sports are ridiculous.
When we had our kids going, and Paige would take them to ride bikes when they were little, it made me so mad. They got the knee pads, they got the elbow pads, they got the helmet. I'm
I
like,
did
my
not
God.
do knee pads and elbow.
Brandon had the whole get up as Spider-Man,
Oh, well, that's because it was.
and it was cute. It was
It was not
adorable.
about- it
But
was not
still,
about-
it's like, you know what? It's okay. It's okay to take a risk.
You guys ate
it
some
gets-
Allie? Huh.
And it's okay. You're still alive. And it's like, yeah, it's okay to take that risk, because when you don't take that risk, then when we get into hate speech, now we have to start governing speech.
Oh, yes.
Because why? I've never been able to get hurt.
Yeah.
Bless my little sissy heart. I've never
Yeah.
been able to get hurt. I don't know what it means to be rejected, because we were talking about, what were we talking about today about people doing stupid things or whatever. And I said, we didn't have that when I was growing up, because you got the crap kicked out of you. You know what I mean? You didn't have all the sissy boys and all this stuff when I was in school, because somebody beat you up.
Yeah.
You didn't have it, but you knew what it was when you got out of, I mean, that's just getting out of the way God ordained it. There's rejection. There's things that's going to happen that need to happen in life.
Well, that adversity is what's going to build your character. You
Exactly.
have to
There you
learn
go.
how to react when someone says something that makes you uncomfortable or upset or offended. You have got to know how to react appropriately.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can't be a grown person, and if someone says something, you just burst into tears. So the practice of what, happens when you're a kiddo helps you when you get older know how to respond. So definitely the perversion of gender roles is opposite of God's appointed roles. Every way that the Bible applies what each gender is to do, it's kind of getting flipped and turned around and confused.
And you know what? People are seeming, this is just my observation, they seem more and more unsatisfied.
Oh, yes.
I mean, like they're
Yes.
just they're not complete, and it's because if you get a job, you can get a really good job paying really good money, and it's not a job that you're capable of doing, and you're miserable in it because it's not. And it's not that you're not capable of learning it, but you're not physically, So there's pictures out there at the site where Jason, my whole family just about works, and they have, I don't know what the politically correct is, but short people, really short people, working in the pipes. If you're 6 foot tall, you can't climb in that pipe and do that work. When I say pipes, I mean and they're happy. I mean, they had jobs, and it's not a bad thing. I mean, it's
grown folks,
you think that's
people couldn't get in, so you got to think. Can I borrow this?
yeah.
Well, hey,
1952, they didn't have technology and things like that we have today, where you can get in there, you can build things around it, and so they had the short folks, and they had a job. I mean, there was
probably a
bunch of
great
them here.
paying job.
Oh yeah,
They were very happy.
Because it's specialized. If not everybody can do it.
absolutely. And I mean, and so that was, to me, it was just.
I mean, and it's even like you take a female, and if she's in a job that requires a lot of physical work, and she's not some women can be bodybuilders, and
Right.
but our body's not naturally designed. That's why
Well,
they have separate sports.
We have questions about that, like women in combat. So they're doing unfair testing in the military. Like, if we're equal, then why are women being given an unfair advantage? If you ever watch what they're doing in the military, they'll say that the guy, to pass the test to join, to go to boot camp, he's got to do 95 push-ups. She's got to do 20. I thought we were equal. So why is the woman getting an unfair? So do you want her out on the front lines if something happens?
She's not
she
equipped.
Probably can't hold the gun like him, and those push-ups and getting in the trenches and with the gun. She's not capable.
I say if the standards are uniformed,
But they aren't.
if they're uniformed and she can, okay, all right, whatever.
They absolutely are not. Like, that's a fact. Across the military testing, the test is different.
But
That's skewed already.
It's like that for police,
That's-
fire, everything.
Well, yes. Do you feel safe with lady police officers patrolling the streets? Do you think criminals look at them as officers in a position of authority?
No,
Say,
they don't.
a
Well,
criminal
even-
gets pulled over by a lady cop, and she's like, "Don't get out of the car." He can roll her.
Right.
I've seen it. I've seen
So, but you can even take this point of view, though. It doesn't matter if it's male or female. If you're in danger and someone's beating the crap out of you, do you want this little tiny petite? I don't care if it's a man or a woman. Looks like you could break them with your fingers, snap the person in half, or do you want somebody that's built that is going to whoop somebody that's and be able to take care?
Right.
Who do you want defending you?
I saw a
I want
video.
the person that can beat somebody.
The criminal gets pulled. Well, first she pulls him over. It's for speeding or something. She goes up to the door. She asks for his license. He gets out of the car. She's like, "Why are you getting out?" So he's supposed to stay in the car, right? He's like, "My ID is in the back seat." She gets out of the way. She's already not, maintaining authority. And a couple minutes later, he starts beating her. She's like, "Wait, sir, get back in the car." He punches her. He knocks her down.
Yeah.
She's the victim. She is the victim. So it's like,
Victimized by
but my
liberalism.
question is, why do some women want to be so intimidating? What is the deal?
Jezebel. There's, why? Because they never had a man in their life, a positive male role model.
I think women want to feel significant, and I think it goes back.
They
we were
are.
talking- We talk. Well, we have put ourselves. We have you emasculate the men of the society so much to the point that they can't do what they're created to do. Even if you don't believe in God, you have natural, instincts and natural desires that you're prone to, and when you can't fulfill those, you're incomplete. And so, if the man is not allowed to be the man, he's not going to be able to give the woman what she needs.
Right. Yeah.
And so if she's not getting what she needs, then she's going to have to elevate herself because I don't need no man. I can do everything a man can do. When you take that attitude, well, then why would men even try to step up?
And then women really can't. They really can't. That
it-
is part of the perversion of the gender roles, that they have to, be intimidating or constantly talk about the feminism and they're feminine, because they won't allow anybody to get a door for them, give them a compliment, do anything for them. They're going to do it all on their own, but they're, like you said, unhappy, unfulfilled. This makes both genders unhappy and unfulfilled.
Yeah. You know the thing that kills me is, do you remember what I used to say? Because when me and Paige first got together, we first got
That's what I was
married,
fixing to start talking about.
is I worked at Coke. I worked at pulling drinks off of the side of a truck.
Yeah.
And when I think about that job, I remember they just started hiring women to do that job, and it upset me. And Paige, she was in college. She was a little more liberal than she is today,
Oh yeah.
very much so. And I can do anything a man can do. Oh, good God. That drive, I can. Ooh, if you really want to make me happy, start saying that. And she's like, why can a woman not do that job? Why? And I said, because it was the conversation was, would you hire a woman if you were in charge? Would you hire a woman to do that job? I said, absolutely not. Well, and then you get the whole thing, and you get it when you talk to women today. Even, well, we can do anything a man can do. I said, I have more respect for you than to put you through that. It's not that I don't think a woman could do it. I think a woman could do it. I think it might be more tiring for her. She's a little bit shorter. She's a little bit, her muscles aren't as strong as genetically as a man, but it's even like women in combat. I think it is an abomination to put a woman in combat. I have more respect for women than to put them in front of a freaking bullet. And who wants to be in front of a bullet?
Right.
And what's funny is our politicians push it. They push it. This is the feminization of men, because our politicians, our liberal politicians, stand there and they go, we got to have this. Women in combat, women in the draft, women in the draft, and what does the news media do? They jump on it. Women in the draft. We got to have women in combat. But then when they do polls, CNN does a poll, 70% of women don't want to be in the military.
No,
they
they
want to
don't.
be. And it's like, wait a minute. I thought this was something we had to have.
This is why they're feeling insignificant, because every part of society, from movies to books to government to news, is telling women they have to do one thing. We're being raised that way even from school, when fulfillment comes in something totally opposite of that. That's why you have middle-aged women on antidepressants, unmarried, without families, is like 60% of middle-aged, and no offense, liberal women typically, they're loaded up with antidepressants because they get to that age of life and it's like, okay, there is no legacy.
Yeah.
There's nothing that you've done that you've poured into except
are in jail.
yourself. All you've poured into is yourself.
Yep.
And you're not happy. That how could that make someone happy?
Well, you have to look at it. When God does something, the devil's going to do what? The opposite. When God ordains
Pervert
something,
it, yeah.
he's going to pervert it. He's going to do 180 degrees opposite. As I keep saying at church, I've said it last several weeks, we're going through the study of Revelation, the church's Revelation. Whatever you've been taught your whole life by a government entity, I'm just telling you, I'm not anti-government. I think we need government. I mean, I believe we need government because it's a very complex system we're in. Somebody's got to run it, good, bad, ugly, whatever. But when the government's telling you something, just here's what you can do at this point. Just do the 180 degrees, the opposite of what they told you, and you're probably going to be right because they're going to pervert it. But when we think about young men, you are to be strong and courageous. Deuteronomy 31:6. Who was Moses talking to? He's passing on the anointing. Who's he talking to? Is he talking to Sarah? Is he talking to Naomi? Is he talking to Miriam? No, he's talking to Joshua. Be strong, be courageous. You're going to have to go take something. In this case, it's the land. But at some point, you're going to have to defend something. You're going to have to be the aggressor, and you're going to have to be the defender. And if you're a husband, you're a boyfriend, something like that, at some point, you're going to have to defend your family. You're going to have to defend your property. You're going to have to defend your stance on Jesus.
Don't you think, though, it's a growing trend with people being more selfish, not getting married, not having kids? Honestly, men don't really want to defend. When we look back, it's 1848. That's when feminism started as a political movement. So once women are like, I'm going to get my voice out there, I think as it's gone further and further, men are like, now I'm not responsible. My hands are off. You're doing it all. It's like made men so apathetic.
Yeah.
And
It's a huge responsibility to know that it's all on your shoulders.
Well,
to know
there's
that
guys that won't. They are scared to get married.
Well,
Oh,
but they
wow.
don't want it on them. But as a society, we're not encouraging men to step up and be men. So therefore, if you have a choice, why would you want to put all that stress on your shoulders?
I wouldn't.
And it goes back to, I mean, so many things encompass that. You know, people getting further away from church and the Bible and not understanding their role, men's egos being crushed, and people having a sorry work ethic. They barely want to work for themselves. Why on earth would they want to feed a wife and kids?
Yeah.
They're lazy. You know, people are
Absolutely.
lazy. Why would they ever want to take all that on when they can just live a free, fun life with no accountability?
I love having these conversations like this at work when I hear the young ladies, they'll go to fussing about having to work. And I said, yeah, I said, hey, thank God that y'all were liberated through feminism to come out here and work for 40 hours a week, and be away from your family, be away from your husbands, be away from what makes you whole. And what's even better is because y'all did that, y'all were liberated to come work, you totally watered down the workforce. So now everybody gets a pay cut. Whereas before, when the husband could go out and work, think about this. I could go work at the site. I could make what two people are making right now.
Because you were supposed to.
Right, because there was half the people in the work pool. And they go, that's not how it is. I go, so that what you do to preface it, how I always preface this argument, I start talking about the influx of illegal aliens coming in and being granted citizenship. So now, so we have a political party right now wanting to give 11 to 15 million people amnesty, that means 30 million. Give them amnesty so they can go get jobs because Americans just won't do them. So what does that do to the job? Job markets are flooded. When there's more people than there are jobs, the wages go down. And so when the women flooded the workforce to be liberated, I don't know how getting a job makes you liberated, but anyway, that watered down the workforce. So now instead of getting paid, $100,000, you're getting paid $50,000 to do the job. Does that make sense?
Okay. You said you don't know how that makes you liberated.
Getting a job?
You can take
Like a
care of
death
yourself.
sentence. Yeah.
I think women being able to work is a good thing.
You know what?
There's a fine line, and it's been crossed, way crossed. But I mean, like, if you have no father, if you have no husband, and you're 30 years old, I mean,
Well, yeah, there's always extremes. There's always extremes. Right. That's the church's job to take
Right.
care of the widows. Right. And that's the thing is that, and because there used to be honor, because now it's I love what Bishop Williams used to say. This is my completer. This is not my competer.
Right.
And that's a huge thing.
Right.
Oh, go ahead, jump in.
I was just
Hey,
gonna say,
you got
how many couples do you see where they are competers, where the wife and the tries because of feminism, you can do anything a man can
Yeah.
do, and you go out there and you show them how to make money. I mean, like we as a society we pump women up to do this, so you're emasculating the man. So if you're making twice his salary, why in the world would he want to go bust his butt?
And you're just not working on the same team. Like when you say, that women, it's good if they can work. I think the danger is you can work, but do you have to? You know what I
Right.
mean? It should be an optional.
So I'm a nurse. I went to school and graduated. And when we got married, a friend of Jason's was in nursing school or graduated nursing school, and she, Angie, and
Oh,
she
okay.
asked him, you gonna make Paige quit her job? Yeah, she was just very offended that I was not going to be working full time. I went to all this school, and he should not be holding me back. I mean, she was ticked
I
at
don't
him
remember
about
this.
it.
This is
You
great.
don't?
No, this is like brand new for me.
Anyway, and he's like, she wants to be she wants to take care of the kids. She wants to be at home.
Right.
I still work, but just a little bit. But we are told, women I think are told, you need to go make a name for yourself. You need to be able to take care of yourself, which is not a bad thing, being able to take care of yourself. Because if your husband dies,
If you have to. Yeah.
it's nice to have that to fall back on.
But biblically, are you supposed to be out front making a name for yourself?
No.
And that's what it has to come back to is the Bible. And even like when it comes to women's liberation and being liberated to go to a sucky job that you hate with a boss that's going to treat you like crap, that really sounds like, would you go through deliverance if every time you went through deliverance you felt worse? Would you keep coming back to church if every
Probably
time
not.
you went you felt like crap? I wouldn't. No way. And here's the thing is, is you can people bring up, oh well, what about the woman whose husband beat on her and she had to, okay, yeah, well, there's always going to be the exception to the rule.
Right.
But this is how I like to relate it back to church people, because church people cannot, we have a hard time wrapping our minds around women in the workforce and that it's okay or it's not okay. I'm not saying either. I mean, my view is I think that if you're able to stay home, you should be able to stay home. You can do what you want to do, I
think
guess
it's
is
a
what I mean
good
by that.
thing. I think it's sad or tragic when it's a necessity.
Right.
You know,
And
if
we
she
get
doesn't
ourselves in
have
debt.
kids, if she
I
wants
got
to
a point I
work, if
gotta
she
make.
has a family and she wants to work part-time, but if it's a necessity and this woman is pushed and working 60 hours a week, that just seems awful sad.
Right, it is. But think about it like this. So if you take a church group that says it's great for a woman to work and stay and work and that I'm insensitive and all this stuff, then I say, here's the question I love to ask. This is just throw this out there.
Throw it out there.
Is it okay then for a woman or a man, because we do deliverance, to be so ate up in masturbation that they cannot do anything with their husband or wife sexually?
Is it okay?
Yeah, is that okay?
No.
But why? Because they're robbing them of what they're supposed to be doing anyway, right?
Yeah.
So is that not the same as you going to work? When you come home, you're both too tired for each other to do the things that husbands and wives do, whether it's tend to the kids, tend to the house, whatever it is. You went, and all of a sudden, I'm taking care of myself rather than being focused on taking care of you. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
I mean,
I mean, like quick glance and listening to it, you mean like you were getting way out there, and but I get it.
you know what? Because the reason you go out there like that is because most people go, yeah, you shouldn't do that. What's the difference? What's the difference?
But it's not something that can be unlearned in a day, because
Right.
we're being programmed that that's what we're supposed. People think they finish high school, I have to go to college, I have to start a career. Doesn't matter if you're male or female. This is what you're told.
Well, that's what I was about to say is the programming. We are programmed to, you need more, you need bigger, you need better things. You know, you need a furnished house when you start house, not a apartment, not a mobile home. You need a house because, you know, I mean, you can give all the reasons why you should do this. But when you first get married, you don't start out where your parents who've been married for 30 or 40 years start out or are at currently.
Yeah.
You start out and you slowly acquire more stuff. But in a society, we are programmed, and it's programming. You watch TV, you watch shows, movies, music, and it's like you can get it right now. That's why we have a debt problem. Well,
Yeah.
Once you start, and we're big on, you know, me and Jordan, we into the money stuff, paying attention.
Not spending it.
You're not spending it, paying attention to numbers and stuff. But as a society, we are programmed, and it's self gratification, immediate gratification. You want it, go ahead and get it. You can pay for it later. We can divide it up into 20 payments over the next 20 months, and you don't have to pay any interest or, you know, whatever. But and then you mess around, and by the time you get yourself so strung out, you've got credit card debts, you got mortgage debt, you got car debt, you got loan debt. They push you to go to college. Why should somebody go to college if they don't know what they want to be?
Yeah.
I mean,
So that
you go
so
to
the system stays afloat.
so many
pumping money in.
so many people go to college. I mean, I know of a gentleman who has 3 degrees. He cleans houses and waits tables.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's not any of his degrees. And so he had those loans to pay off, but you get yourself so strapped, then you're in a position when you realize the aha moment. We're our marriage just sucks because we're never together.
Yeah.
We're
All we
always
can do is work.
exhausted. We're miserable. We hate our jobs, but we have to keep this high-paying job. The job's telling you have to do this in order to keep it. You don't have a choice. We're making medical decisions for you. You have no choice. You have to stay there because you've got yourself so strung out in debt.
Now you're
because
in a
you've been
hole.
programmed.
So think about programming. Here's how I get my exercise. I got a soccer video game I like to play. I get my exercise that way, right here. And this is a World Cup year. So we got a World Cup. This is the most watched sporting event ever, every time it comes on every 4 years. And makes the Super Bowl look like child's play. And when the women have their World Cup, I think like lacrosse matches here get more views than the women do. I mean, literally. But when you look on this soccer game, FIFA is the name. Is the soccer that is the governing body of international soccer. You cannot select a men's World Cup to play on the game. But the Women's World Cup is right there on the front. You can select and use the Women's International Cup. But you have to dig through to even be able to find out how to pick the men's teams. Why is that? Why is that? Because they need a chance too. Here's a fun one. We went and got a quote on a sign the other day for out here at the road.
Oh,
Isn't this wonderful? Is it discriminatory if I say I'm going to charge you a higher price because you're a female? Isn't that discrimination?
yeah.
I could go to jail for that if I'm running a business.
Yeah.
But yet I can go and my quote says female run business. We get a discount because they put us in as a female run business. So think about this. Think about this. Well, that's what's on the quote. You read it to me. So here's the fun thing. Why not put it in as a church? Is there a benefit for having a ministry?
Apparently, heck no.
But it's not bad to discriminate if it's a male owned business. That's okay because you suck. You're a male. We need to put you in your place. And it's like how I mean, it makes me not want to do business with them almost. I want to go ask them about it, but I know it's a corporation, so it really doesn't matter what I think anyway. But it's funny because that's what we see in our culture today when we talk about the programming. It is perfectly fine to discriminate against men, and it's all the ones that cry racism, being feminist, and all this stuff. That's the ones that perpetrate it the hardest. But for some reason, people fall for it
Yeah.
more and more. And it's like, you look at what the devil does. That's how the devil does it. The devil takes a church. We talked about Jezebel yesterday. The devil takes a very well-intentioned Christian and turns them on the ministry, turns them against their pastor, against their spiritual leadership in the church, whether it's the deacons, pastors, council, whatever, and starts to turn the people away from the thing that they're supposed to be there to get, because it just says, hey, look at it this way. I'm going to give you what you need, but it's actually the opposite of what you actually need. That's what we're going to do. And we're going to call it okay. And we're going to make it seem okay. And it's like, and the people go, yeah. I mean, everybody's hit that at some point in their life, but it's just like, wow.
I'm back on page talking about how you don't have the instant gratification and have everything as soon as you get married. But think about marriage. If people do plan on get married, then now they're going to wait till they're 30. They're going to be financially stable so that the day they tie the knot, they've got a home that they own, all this stuff going on, a full-blown career, like they're doing everything so much later in life,
Isn't it fun that we say a home that they own, the bank owns?
Oh,
Yeah,
please, you can
pay
have
the
it. You
mortgage.
even when you have a title to your house. Here's a little conspiracy thing. Even when you get the title to your house, they can still take your house. You don't own.
Yeah.
And
Stop
to
paying
just
your
sit here
taxes
and
and find
collect
out.
stuff is pretty silly because none of it's going with you.
Yeah.
Not a thing. Not a thing.
That reminds me. Can I just say something real quick? There you go. Go ahead.
So we were talking about the roles, and
Yeah.
we were also talking about the when you don't have a family, that women that wait
Yeah.
longer and don't get married or don't have kids, middle-aged women on antidepressants when unmarried and without families are on antidepressants.
Right.
Genesis 1:28 says, "And God blessed them, and God said to them, Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth and subdue it, and rule over all the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the sky, and over every living thing that moves on the earth." He said to be fruitful and multiply. That is God's commandment to men and women. And so when we're
Right.
not doing that, there's all kind of extremes, but that is an instinct that is put in us, and that is a
Right.
fulfillment.
So look, if you don't be fruitful and multiply, and I think this especially can be for women, you're going to subdue something. You're going to try to subdue and direct and school everybody else, because the stuff you're going to get all maternal on everybody, because the things that you were supposed to be pouring into, you're not. I feel like a lot of barren womb, empty, never did anything like that. They're very everybody's psychologist,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
like I was hearing that thing, they're saying a lot of those women will naturally gravitate to working at like human resources departments
Yeah.
because they gotta nurture everybody even when their advice is unsolicited.
Oh yeah. It's amazing to me. I know a person. This person's children have not spoken to them in 20 years. They don't even know how many grandchildren they have.
Oh,
But they're the first ones to give advice on how to raise your children. I'm going, huh? But
Wow.
the thing is, think about this, where we're talking about the antidepressant
Yeah.
use is so high. This is your indication right here. Remember, whatever the world tells, whatever the government tells, just do the opposite, and you will be on God's side. Okay, I promise you. This is the thing that we're told in society. Watch your television. Football. How many women are on that field? 0.
Now they're refs and commentators.
Okay. Well, here was my
They're
favorite
getting their
thing.
way. They're making their way
was-
out there.
But the number one job of the female on the football field, or the
Cheerleader.
basketball court, they're either the cheerleader or they're the reporter that goes down there and asks the coach, what player are you going to call? And then tells the world on national television to gossip. That's demoralizing, but it's the same people that tell you that's not what it is. But think about this. So you look at a bunch of men, you're watching men play a sport. Then the commercial comes on, and it's degrading men. Wait a minute.
Programming.
I thought
Programming.
it's the programming. But why are we not happy? Why is antidepressant use at all-time high, and people are more depressed than they've ever been, and we're doing like a freight train headed to hell everything the world and government tells us is going to satisfy us. It's going to make us happy. Women running everything, men being subjugated, men being emasculated. But for some reason, we're the most miserable we've ever been.
And
How
you
is that?
can just see the feminine touch on all this. Like, think about Common Core. Because everything's got to be fair. And we all got to be the same, you know? And then that curriculum has to go across the whole country where everybody's got to learn the same. Why?
Right.
Maybe if you're in a farming community like this, you need different skills than someone that's in an urban
Yeah.
community where it's all tech and sky rises. We're going to need to learn two different things.
Right.
Why do we all? Yeah, this is definitely female influence.
It's kind of like the Bible talks about, the different body parts, the different members of the body. Not everybody can be a toe. Not everybody can be the head. But you put it all together, and it makes a whole body, and it works good. I mean, somebody's got to be the hand. Somebody's got to be the foot. You can't go around with no hands and no feet and think that. I mean,
it's
You gotta
just
be real
it's
effective.
just so sad because women have so much worth. It used to be if a woman was around, guys would clean up their mouth. But now the woman is like, I can handle it. Say
Oh,
what
no,
she
they're
wants.
talking.
They
They're
say a whole
I
talking.
lot
mean,
worse.
it's just such a shame.
Where I work at, usually the women are a whole lot filthier than the
You
men.
know?
Sorry, ladies, if you're out there looking. Here's the thing, though, is I think so. I used to coach soccer. I played soccer, and I had a dad cussing me out one time because my son's a forward, and you better cussing me out on the sideline. He better be playing forward. I'm not taking this. Is ridiculous. Why have you got him playing defense? I said, your son is a defender. You want him out of his natural role. You're trying to make him something he's not. No, I'm not. You're man. No. He's a goal scorer. He's a leader. I said, sir, he is playing striker right now. That's the guy that plays at the front, in the middle, in front of the goal. That's his position. Where's he at? Back here doing a great job playing defense in front of our goal. And I couldn't get him to go forward for nothing. But Dad says he has to play this position. He's a leader. He has to do it, much like we do with the women. Let's get them out of their role and wonder why everything goes to hell in a handbasket. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what ends up happening because we're following what the devil is trying to pervert. I'm not saying women can't lead anything. We looked at that yesterday in Acts chapter 16 where they went down to the river because it's a place of prayer. And that's the women were there. Why wasn't there any men down there praying?
Well, it's really
what I'm saying?
unfortunate.
There's nothing new under the sun.
It's the difference between can and should. Can they lead? Yes, but it's so sad that because of males being trained to take a back seat and women being trained to just take life, by the horns, now they have to fill in the gaps, and it's a burden that it's not meant for us. I feel like, think about a female president. How would she handle that burden? She's not strategic. She's emotional. Is she going to fight the prime minister with her words? I mean,
Right.
what is she going to
Right,
do?
right.
How's she going to make calculated? And if she doesn't have men around her that she respects that can be like, you need to do this, and this is the strategic, critical thinking move you need to make, but it's all emotion. You know, it's just not. It's
not
not
gonna work.
good. It's not good.
So think about we did a couple weeks ago about things not changing. What Ecclesiastes is it 1:9? Yeah, let's see here. What has been is what will be, and what has been done is what will be done, and there's nothing new under the sun. Is there such a thing which it is said, see, this is new? It's been done already in the ages before us. That's the thing. This is what we're experiencing right now is nothing new. That's why in Acts chapter 16, they go down to the place of prayer, and it said there was the women were there. Didn't say anything about men being there. And Lydia, when she got saved and baptized, what happened? Then her household got baptized. So even back then, the women were having to take the reins. Men were supposed to take the reins, but you see throughout Scripture that women said, you know what, somebody's got to do it. Godly women at some point stepped up and said, you know what, God's got to do it. And you will see that Lydia began the church in Thyatira. But when the letter is addressed to the church of Thyatira, was it addressed to Lydia? Was she even mentioned? No. Because as the church began to develop, a godly woman says, okay, let's get back to where we're supposed to be. She lets go of the reins. Does that make sense? Because there's no self there. When it's done demonically, like we're doing in the society today, the men are not, they're not going, wait a minute, this is God's not able to pull them into where they're supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? And that's something that's always kind of driven me crazy, is when I hear church people talk and they talk about women aren't supposed to do this and not supposed to do that. And I'm going, well, if you start looking through Scripture, women sure did do a lot, and God let them do a lot. And even your young women will prophesy. You look at Acts chapter 2, it's mentioned twice. Well, who are they going to prophesy to? Gather the women around so we can speak. You take one verse of Scripture, it says, I don't permit a woman to speak in Timothy, but you miss out on Phoebe being a deacon in Romans chapter 16. Well, Paul had her as a deacon. What do you mean she can't serve as a deacon? The Bible says she was a deacon. Look it up. Look it up in the Greek, because that's the word, deaconos. That is the word. And so when I see these things, I'm going, where, look here. Maybe that when he wrote that was situational for that area. I don't know, but I see a lot of women being used in Scripture because, frankly, if the men let go of the reins, women picked it right up.
Well, I am on a different side of the argument than you, but to support your opinion, that is
Thank you.
situational because the culture of that, the church where he addressed, because I did so much research on all this, that they weren't allowed to speak. That was a female-dominated society where they were worshiping fertility gods.
Mm-hmm.
They had altars all over that only the women could go to. It was a society, a culture of like female worship.
Yeah.
So this was definitely taking the eyes off, the Most High God, and definitely just running the men into the ground. So that there needed to be a severe
Mm-hmm.
Discipline for that,
Right.
because of the female worship.
And in
So,
that
yes.
area, that worked. And that's why, and that right there is why you see, right here he said women don't speak. Right here he said they do. Right here he said they do. Right here he said they do. And I'm going, okay, there has to be a reason. You know what I'm saying? I can't pick the one and go, wait a minute.
What's the one thing that is confusing to me is when I think of this, the women in the fertility temples and all this, and old time female worship, I always think of like sirens and seductress and people like Jezebel. But honestly, these women ain't going to get nobody to worship them now because they're like men.
Yeah, really.
It's so weird. Like,
I wonder if they were like
I
that
hate to
during that
say this,
time.
but it's like the assets that you have that would make somebody want to be
Yeah.
in awe of you, they're not using.
No, they really
They're
don't.
actually, talk about perverting things, making themselves the opposite of beautiful, attractive, becoming something that you'd want to follow around,
Yeah.
something influential. A lot, yeah, and it's like, no, and I look like this, and you have to accept it.
So it's
it's
kinda
like
like-
you want to run the other way.
You saw the Wonder Woman movie, didn't you?
Only the first one, yeah.
I didn't know, maybe the second
I
one.
think there's more. I don't know.
So where she was in the world with the women that
Nothing but women.
nothing but women.
Well, that's her comic,
but
yeah.
they were all sexy, beautiful.
The Amazons, yeah.
Sexy, beautiful women.
Right.
It's like I could get in.
I'll
with
follow
it.
you, yeah.
No
but now
problem.
it's like,
And now you see the ones today, they're more manly than I am. And I just had to do it. But, I don't want to follow that.
No.
Because you're angry all the time. It's like,
No.
good Lord, maybe they're angry like
so
that
it's
for a
just
reason.
interesting when you
know?
say nothing new under the sun. I'm like, I
And-
wonder if in these temples where they're worshiping fertility gods, and I think of sirens and stuff because when you look at even old literature, it's like women alluring men, but now it's told. So I'm like, is this something that's happened
Well,
before?
but think about it.
you
They're
know,
alluring men. Here's it. When you get your fertility god in female worship,
yeah,
they're alluring men. Here's what it's called: a sperm bank. We will pay you for a sample. Now 2 women can come to this god
Yeah.
that can magically make us pregnant without a man being around.
or maybe luring men into what some men's natural default is, just complacency, and again that okay, I'm hands off.
Yeah.
I'll just go
Yeah.
live my life and have fun.
And you're gonna pay me? Sure.
So we've
That's
talked about a
interesting.
bunch
This
of
is too much
depressing
fun.
stuff.
I'm glad we talked
how-
about women mainly tonight,
so-
because I would go off on
But
men.
as a Christian, as a and wanting, what are some things that we can, as families, as mothers, as fathers, as children, what are some things that we can do, to combat this?
Okay, I got one.
Okay.
So I have
I think she was ready for that one.
well, I was processing as she was saying. I have 2 married children, and and my blood child is the female in this situation. But we have sat down with both couples and said, now we're on the team of both of you. We're not going to favor our female child. We're going to look at you as a unit because you're equal and you both have to do your part. And when we look at you, you'll not be separated because you're not supposed to be. So this means you have equal but different roles. You got equal value.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that's one thing.
That's good. I think that's important. I think, yeah.
Ask the question one more time. I got really into her answer. Forgot the question.
What are some things that we can do to combat some of the issues that we've talked about? I mean, like, because we see the problems. I mean, you got to be blind not to see what's going on.
What about these gender specific chores?
Okay.
You know, like our new son-in-law, he says housework equals teamwork. So do we teach the girls you have to do dishes, and do we teach the boys you have to mow the lawn, or do we sometimes have them switch so that you can learn to do different jobs? Although Matt did teach all 3 girls to do oil change. I said, you're not teaching me that because I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
But, you know, do we say this job is specific to you, or do we teach our sons and daughters to do different things?
I think it
what do you
depends.
think?
I think to me it depends on them. It depends on the person. If Kristen, I think about because we had a boy and a girl. Kristen
Yeah.
was never interested in changing brakes at all.
Right.
Brandon showed him one time when he was like 6. By the time we did it again when he was 7, he could take the wheel off at 6, 7 years old
Uh-huh.
and do it himself. I mean, he did one brake shoe one time, and before I even realized he'd done it, and the
Right.
kid's like as tall as this table, and I'm going, wow.
Or how about with cooking? You know,
You
you
like
do
cook and cook.
necessarily teach just your daughters how to cook. Like my husband cooks far better than me, and I'll sometimes be like, you know, you cook so good, and you're a guy, and he'll say, the best cooks in the world are men.
But,
You know, it's like
where-
that's what he enjoys doing.
right. If that's what you enjoy doing, that's what you enjoy doing. Share the responsibility.
Yeah.
I know at our house, I like the rule we kind of try to keep up with is, if you cooked, you don't have to do dishes.
Oh, nice,
And
nice.
so that's a wonderful thing. And what that does, that shares the responsibility all the way around.
Or like at our house, I'll do all the laundry because I absolutely love it. I want to pull it straight out of the dryer and hang it up. I love it. I love doing all the laundry. I don't want no one to touch it, you know? So it's okay.
So that's me. Let me do the laundry, fold clothes. Oh, I can do it all. day
Hang it
long.
up warm. I want to hang it up warm.
Man. See, but so that's and then Paige is our tinkerer. Paige like putting down the flooring and stuff. I would enjoy that. She loves it more than I do. So
Right.
it's like when we did it at the house, and with stuff like that, we don't always work well together.
Right.
And so I looked at it and I was like, I do enjoy doing stuff like that, but I'm looking at her. She absolutely loves it, and so I'm like, okay,
And
what
it reminds me of
it
the
makes her
verse.
so happy. Go do it. Have fun.
But you excel them all. If someone's naturally gifted at something or excels in it, let them do it.
Yeah.
If they're getting joy out of it, you
Yep.
know.
Well, that's why I sat here and watched when y'all were putting this floor down here. Brandon got in there and helped. Jordan, Gene, and Paige were knocking it out. I'm sure somebody else helped. If I forgot to mention your name, I'm sorry. I sat and watched. What can I do? Somebody's got to pick stuff up. I'll pick stuff up. The
Right.
boxes
Hey,
are
we
heavy.
need some of these cut. We'll mark it. Will you go cut it?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
hated
me and Matt
cutting.
walk outside and cut it. I remember that now. Yeah, Matt was out there helping. He would cut and I would cut when he wasn't
And
here.
it's not a look what I'm doing that
No.
you're not.
It's
you know,
teamwork.
right? Because you're supposed to be on the same team, not constantly trying to push the other person. You're catching up. Let me push you back.
So, what can you do when you have like male children that seem to be very effeminate, and when you have female children that seem to be wanting to take the male role?
I feel I don't know.
How can you encourage them? Or
I don't know if you would agree with this, Jason, but I think like this, children raised by the moms, a lot of times the males can be more effeminate. I feel like if I had a child like that, I want to get them around male role models. Is the first thing I want to do is have men that they could look up to. Seems
So why would I not agree with that?
no, I'm saying, do you? I don't know if you do. That would be the first thing I would do is get
Yeah.
them around.
I know of a lady that she did not have the father figure was not in her daughter's life
Yeah.
the whole time, and she's like, I made sure and tried to find male role models
Yes.
to have around her so that she could, know how to be treated. You know, I mean,
Right.
I know that's not the male teaching the boy, but even you need that. That's why when you have both parents having to work full time, who's raising the kids?
Yeah. That was one of the things that I love when we coach soccer is that, and I say we, how often were you ever on the sideline with me yelling at them?
Oh, I didn't yell at them.
How often were you over there with me? Like
I wa-
next to never.
Never.
But we did it together because she was there with me. But here's the thing. I loved when we had the girls on the team because them boys learned how to treat the girl. If they knocked one down, especially when we were practicing, I'd run them over. You don't, That, they
Well,
would go,
doesn't this-
Well, why are you running him over? Because she is to you like you are to me, and you need to know what it feels like.
But doesn't this go back to making the rules unfair for the girls?
No, I wouldn't make it unfair. She had to do everything that the boy had to do, but they needed to know how you treat a lady. You can still treat them equal as far as the expectation of the situation set forth, like soccer. But at the same time, to me, there is a different level of respect that you have for that lady.
Would you mean like, for example, that if you're going to go in hard to another guy and you're equal ground, you go in hard, but you can overpower her, so back off as you go. Is that
Yeah.
what you're
Okay.
getting at?
Yeah. So like
Okay.
when I was growing up,
You just
we-
got to explain it.
explain. When I was growing up, we would scrimmage the girls team in Greensboro. They were really good. And when I would nail one of them and take them down and slide tackle them, I would still put them on the ground, but it was just a little
Gently.
easier. It was just a little easier, There wouldn't be that extra you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That you would expect with the
I
boys.
wouldn't want to play soccer with him.
They had the ball. That was my position. Get the ball, however you got to get it. But to me, there always should be a level of respect for a female. I remember a lady that I used to work for, love her to death. She's carrying a bag in the box, 5-gallon box of fountain syrup, 75 pounds, and it's liquid. That means it does this while you're trying to carry it. And she's holding on, and I got one in my hand already, and I said, give me that one. I'll carry it out for you. I can do anything a man can do. I said, well, how about you be a lady? Why don't you try being a lady and let me do what I'm supposed to do, and that is assist you? Fine. And then I
Don't
took it
you
from her, she
think
said, "Thank
too,
you."
like, a man's natural inclination is to do something to be like to the lady, like, did I do good? Do you like
Yeah.
it? That's
Yeah.
the natural inclination, right?
Here's the thing. Think about when you were dating. What's the man try to do? Show off. You know what I mean? Show off. Feats of strength usually is somewhere because what middle school boys. You know, why are you punching a girl? Because that's all I know how to do is look how strong I am. Bam! And it's so you look, but it's that basic thing of look at what I can do. I can protect you. I can do things for you. And the ladies usually would sit. It always amazes me And I've noticed this as long as I can remember, would sit and watch and go,
Listen,
and I'm like, what? What do you see in that? What do you see
listen,
in that?
listen. Things have changed. Things have changed, and it's the programming that's been put in.
You know what, though?
Hold on.
I have hope
Hold
in our
on.
generation.
That Brandon, when he was in upper elementary, early middle school, there was a little girl that was a little sweet on him at one of our old churches, and she would hit him. She was like, she was, and it was driving him crazy. I'm like, she's sweet on you, Brandon. You know, and he didn't. It took a while to get it, but you know, you're talking about
Yeah.
the boys trying to show off. The girls,
Well, she was raised by her dad. There was no mother in the house. So it makes
That's how
'cause
she got his
I
attention.
remember because it was like, because Dad was probably like, well, just go over and punch him. Yeah, I mean, that's what I would, just go over and slap him. He'll respond and be like, hey. You know, but it's so funny to look at this stuff. But I have confidence in your generation. I do. I look and I go, you know what? You can ridicule the young men, and they laugh. They go, yeah, man. I'm starting to see
a playful
macho,
ridicule,
more man,
playful like ridicule,
either or.
Okay.
I'm starting to see more of a manly ness take place. Not always. I mean, it's funny. I'm at work. I'm outside the training center. So you have ages from 20 up to 40 or 50 taking these courses to get a job out there. And you can tell which ones are from the M generation. Right? Their skinny pants on and their socks that, you know, they got like man capris on so you can see their colorful socks. And they got the perfect 5 o'clock shadow. And they just, it's like, you can't tell the boys from the girls. You frankly, you can't. I mean,
You have to be careful now over there, long hair man.
I like them colorful socks.
I do on girls. I do. But here's the thing. But then you see the Gen Zers. They're standing, and this is in the smoking section. That used to be where the men hung out. And so then you see the Gen Zers coming out, and you see them standing there looking at the M generation going. And it's just like, you look at them, it's like, okay, these guys are already dirty. Their hands are already dirty. What have you been doing? You're in the training center. The other ones are sitting there with manicures. And so I look at these ones, and they're building scaffolding. The millennials, let's just do the millennials. It's much easier. They're standing there. You're at training. They're building scaffolding. They're watching. They're doing like this. I'm going, what do you?
It's funny that you say that because I used to frequent the nail salon, and I don't know, maybe I'm just like ancient, but I was always so surprised. Like sometimes there'd be 1/3 men in there.
Makes me sick.
Pedicures, manicures. Oh yeah, not just one man, like multiple male clients at the nail salon.
It makes me sick.
Yes.
It's insane. I mean, just talking about toenails. Yeah, my grandfather cut his toenails.
Oh,
with a pocket knife.
I don't know.
A pocket knife. Yes.
So I'm telling
Nothing queer about
I'm
that,
telling
you
the
know what I'm
nail
saying?
lady, I'm like, all these guys, and she's like, yeah, you know, women will bring their husband, and so I'm getting my pedicure one day, and I'm talking to the lady next to me, and her husband's next to her. She's like, yeah, I talked him into coming. Now he loves it. He always comes with me. So I go home and I said, Matt, you want to come with me next time? He's like, no, and don't ask me again. He's like, why would I want to do that?
My mom tried
borrow
for
your bra?
years to get my stepdad to go to the nail salon, you know, and get a pedicure because they massage your calves.
No,
and, you know,
that was beneath him that I even
Yeah.
asked him. He's like, no,
It's a trip.
that's your little thing you do.
It's
Yeah.
amazing to me. It's So if there's a profession, some guy, there's a profession. Maybe you're some kind of model, something like that. Sure, you know, you got to take care of your craft, just like a mechanic takes care of his tools. But just because you want to look good, we have a friend, and she would keep dating guys her age, and finally she would call. Well, I just don't. And I would tell her, she'd send a picture. She'd send a picture of his loser, dump him. What? I'm like, he spends more time getting ready to go out than you do,
And she
doesn't
says,
he? And she goes, well, yeah.
what's wrong with that?
She's like, what's wrong with that? I'm like, what?
He's been
I said,
more
hey.
time than her.
I said,
getting
ask
ready.
me last time I brushed my hair. She goes, oh. And so I told her that. I said, Gen Z, go find some Gen Z guys. And she calls it. She's like, you're right, much better. She's like, they're 10 or 12 years younger. But you know what? They're actually men. They want to do things for me.
Yeah.
They hold doors for me. They
It's
open
that
car
whole,
doors.
did I do good?
Yeah.
You know?
Where it's just a little, you did a good job, honey. We're like, oh, yeah. But, the millennials, it's like she had to hold the door for them.
Truth.
Yeah.
And it's, oh, that makes me sick. No, I
It's
can't
the
start
soy.
talking about
It's
men.
the soy.
Yeah, it is. It's a soy boy. Anyway.
We did a program for
Oh,
all
wow.
those that are listening years ago about soy boys. And I don't remember the name of it,
It
but
was soy boy.
Because it truly does affect your hormones and your testosterone. You don't need to be drinking them soy lattes.
one of the things I think is the biggest, would be the biggest help and encouragement is make sure that you're focused on God and what He's told you to do. And, you just,
Well, don't you think that's why women have such a conflict? Like, I remember going to work and just it felt so unnatural to leave my kids at home. Like, it was such a moral
cried.
dilemma. Me too. I cried multiple,
my
like,
mom looked
lots.
at me, she's like, you don't trust me with your baby? I'm like, it has nothing to do with you.
Yeah, so
I
but
don't wanna
we
leave
were
her.
told we needed to go to work, and it was like it was painful, actually
You know why?
painful.
'Cause
You
it
know,
goes against what God said. The fall. Let's see here. Genesis 3. He says to where's the woman? Here it is. To the woman he said, this is picking up in verse 16. I will surely multiply your pain and childbearing. In pain you shall bring forth children. Your desire shall be contrary to your husband, but he shall rule over you. So right there, when you look at feminism, it is 180 degrees from what God said. Who's telling you that this is the way we need to go? The world, the government is telling you this is how we need to do. If you don't believe it, let's all go to the loan office tomorrow and see what kind of government grants we can get. Because I barely even get a loan. She can get a grant. You could probably get a grant. You can get a loan. A whole lot better rate and everything than I can. Look at what does God say? What is in God's word? And it's we have to just pay attention to it. When we start to see these things, we have to go, hey, wait a minute. God said this is how it's going to be because of a curse. This was not the Lord pronounced blessings upon Eve. You shall bring forth children in pain. Is it a blessing? It's a blessing to have kids, but is the pain a blessing? No, because before you could do it without pain. Because she didn't go, what's that, God? What's bringing forth children?
Right.
She didn't ask that.
How about having a child and not having the pain, and then there's starting to be pain?
I've had a child with no pain medication, and it is a sense of accomplishment.
I bet it is.
Just saying.
Look here. I'm going to give you a pat on the back. Was it her?
Yes. Yes.
Look at, hey, you puffed up your mama's pride with that accomplishment. See what you did? Good job. Anyway, we got to wind this thing up. We're about 7 minutes over. How about closing thoughts? Y'all got anything?
Encourage the women and men and young people in your life, and let everybody know when they're doing a good job. And I would say, as my mother-in-law has told me, this is good advice, ladies. Sometimes her husband will say, can I get that for you? And she said, it's not too heavy for me, but I let him get it because it makes him feel good to do it for me.
That's right.
It's okay to let someone do something for you. Learn to be a princess sometimes.
That's it. Learn, allow the men to treat you like a princess.
If you don't, then they won't.
Why would they bother?
Exactly. Hey, enough said. All right, y'all. Good night. We love y'all, and God bless.
That's my king. I wonder, do you know him? My king is a sovereign king. No means of measure can define his limitless love. He's enduringly strong. He's entirely sincere. He's eternally steadfast. He's immortally graceful. He's imperially powerful. He's impartially merciful. Do you know him? He's the greatest phenomenon that has ever crossed the horizon of this world. He's God's son. He's a sinner's savior. He's the centerpiece of civilization.